All right, welcome everyone to MomCode Empowerment Book Club's edition, Author Talk edition. We are welcoming author Kendall Concini-Moore, who is going to talk to us about her new book, Mom's Cloud and the Beach Adventure. Kendall, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me. So I am a parent who has struggled with mental health. It has almost stopped me from being a parent. And when we decided to take that plunge, a big part of it was how to talk about it with my daughter. I knew we were going to have a second kid, was going to go through postpartum again, and how to really validate my feelings, but when your children are young and you're teaching them so many things, right and wrong and yes and no, how to teach her that what was going on wasn't her fault. So, mom's crying, you're doing something, it's not cause and effect, it's just what mom is going through. And in the beginning, it was easy to take analogies because that is a lot of how we teach kids, and we're a huge library family too. So being able to show her something tangible. And one of the easiest places really was the whole beach adventure, because at the beach, we all experience and enjoy the beach in very different ways. I am very sensory based, so I don't like putting lotion on. So it was always dad's in charge of the sun lotion. Mom doesn't love going in the water. Dad's in charge of water play. And she so easily knew which parent to go to for those instances. And so when we started talking about why mom had a different day, we used the cloud analogy, which started as a rhyme. And it was essentially cloud came to today, mom couldn't play. And it worked
Mm.
really well. And so over time, her and I would have this little conversation, and it developed into a full story. And when we created the story, it was something that felt easy in our house. And as we expanded out, and my daughter would tell friends, like, mom doesn't go in the water, she is a cloud. They didn't know what we were talking about. So we decided to start sharing some of our language in our circle. And then I kind of decided to expand this because, in a way, it was helping me through a lot of those tough times in parenting. And it was helping me to say, okay, I can just tell her I'm having a cloudy day. And most moms know we try and be on 24/7, but I can't when a cloud is coming. And so a big part of it was how to shift it to show her I'm still here. I still want to be on. I'm still your mom. I still love you, but I'm going through something, and that it was okay. And so today, because we're calling this story time, I'm going to read through the book. And I do have digital copies, but I think what's important is I'm going to just hold it up and try and go through each page. I've been doing a lot of reading it out loud with kids and parents. And the two things I really love to admit, and I do this at home too, we have favorite books at home, and I respect the authors who wrote them. But after we read the book the 10th time, I start to push their creativity. So I start to change what's on the page. We start to look at the background art. And that is what I wanted to capture in the book, because people ask me, what age is it for? And when you do the metadata for bookshops and libraries and stuff, you have to pick an age. But my advice is it's really the age in which you're ready to have that conversation and to explain some pages. So at its heart, if you read it and you don't know anything about it, it's still a beach day and you'll figure out something's wrong with mom. But when you really start to get into it, as I've read with younger kids, we kind of skip some parts. We don't go into all of the detail. And with the older kids, we do hit every line. And I made it intentionally interactive to talk through some pages with the kids and highlight those moments to say, let's see what mom does. And that's what I'm going to do today in reading it, is kind of show what happens when we read to kids and we ask them to be interactive with the book and talk through it and get a fuller reading experience, because I do see it as a tool and a resource. And And also, mine is a cloud. That was easy for me. Mine is the beach. We are working on book two, and that's going to be the park because the park is another place that's easy for my kids to grasp. But the goal is whether it's feeling a cloud and taking that easy language or just finding what it is for you. And that is in the back of the book too, with resources. And my website has a lot of resources to share for like the wellness and therapy community. So this is intended as a starter conversation. Hey, mom has clouds. Even admitting, hey, I have clouds. And then the follow up is now that you have that language, how do you share that in your family? Keep having the conversation at the end of the day, which we'll really get into in the second part of this series, is how to take that framework and turn it into a care plan.
I love that. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to read through it and I'm going to read it as I do it in class. And I actually should have had my cloud pillow somewhere, but I know we were playing with it from yesterday. So it opens up, and this is just the dedication page, but I love opening it up here and the kids are sleeping. So I tell the kids, like, shh, we have to see how the day is going to go. And then we work on waking them up together. So early one morning, sunlight stretched across the sky, and golden rays tiptoed onto Alma and Max's cheeks, tickling them awake. Giggles shimmered like magic through the house, and then we always tickle ourselves awake. Beach day, Alma shouted. Max leapt up. I got my bucket. Dad jolted awake. Time to seize the day. No more sleeps, Mom yawned. Mom sang off key as the radio blared, and the kids bounced along, scanning for signs of the beach. And then we always ask the little kids to start bouncing, and we do the little let's look for signs of the beach. And after we look around for a while, seagulls, Alma cried. I'm gonna catch one. There's buried treasure out there, Max declared. Now, sometimes it is fun because little kids then pause and start to tell me about every single thing that they found at the beach. And I love that interactive aspect of it. Finally, Mom exclaimed, adventure begins. Max darted ahead. Arg, X marks our kingdom. Alma zoomed after. We need a royal palace. Sunblock first, then sandcastles, Dad insisted. Mom paused. Oh no, not again. Seeing Mom gaze upward, Dad edged closer. Trouble from the sky? A cloud's rolling in. It's carrying the sad with it. And we see Mom's cloud coming in, and it's lighter and lighter and lighter, and it's darker. And now Mom's in the shade, and everyone else is in the sun. So Max raised his shovel like a sword. A cloud? Let's chase it away. So everyone holds up their swords and we all start to interactively chase the cloud away. But Mom lowered his sword, trying to smile. And this is when I tell kids to lower their swords. Mom doesn't want them to fix it. We need to see what Mom does on this page. Did it surrender? Max wondered. The cloud's holding tight. Mom sighed. It'll move when it's ready. Alma pointed high. Even when clouds stick around, we have sunshine in our hearts. Dad squeezed Mom tight. It's okay to not be okay. So Mom told them it's not their job to wish the cloud. She wants them to go be okay. So let's see what the kids do. Go enjoy the chilly waves, Mom encouraged. The kids charged in, water nipping at their toes, laughter rippling across the shore. And here are the kids swimming all by themselves, and Mom's probably up on the beach reading a good book because that's what I love to do. Max hoisted his seaweed flag, triumphant. Ahoy! There's loot beneath the waves. Quick, before the crabs claim it, Alma raced along. All hands on deck, Max commanded. But Mom didn't budge. She's stuck here in her cloud. Mom, want to be our captain? Alma asked. The clouds circled above. Once my sky clears, Mom promised. Set sail, all guard our kingdom. Dad squinted at the horizon. Aye, aye, scallywags, time to go overboard with fun. And then we do some fun word checks. So I ask the kids if they know what squinting is, and they all put their hands up when we look out at the horizon. Mom, you can weigh anchor when you're ready, Max said. Let's build a snowman, Alma cheered. Mom says our big imagination makes the sun peek out. Pulling Alma close, Mom felt warmer. I love your bright idea. So they don't make Mom go and play with them. The kids decide just to sit with Mom too, because she needs it for a second. And we see the little bit of sun coming through. And Mom says, Thanks for sitting with me here. So Max got to work, sand flying wildly. Mom, wait until you see our goofy face, Alma called. I'm watching from here. I'm a bit frozen, Mom murmured. We'll melt you with the power of caring, Alma sang with a flourish. Sensational, Dad beamed, presenting King Jellybean. Actually, Alma teased, that's King Booty Boot. The kids bubbled with laughter, dancing with glee. Their silliness washed over Mom, and her giggles burst free. For a moment, the clouds seemed to lift, and we see Mom brightening up. Max shimmied. Your best is bright, bold, and enough, Dad finished, spinning Mom. But then Mom didn't budge. So she played for a little bit, but now she needs a break again. So she flops down, her smile softening, my clouds nibbling King Booty Boots' buttons. Max lit up. If you were a mermaid, you can splash the gloomies. Dad winked. Mermaids splash best after a stronger nap. Alma hummed, good, better, best, time for rest. So Mom is gonna take a little bit of a nap on the beach, and that's when we all take a little nap with Mom. And let's listen to Alma's lullaby, good, better, best, time for rest. Mom listened to Alma's lullaby, drifting on the ocean breeze, the words giving the clouds space to pass. Behold, Dad proclaimed, Queen Sea Bottom. So Mom wakes up, everyone wake up. Mom awoke, fingers fluttering. May the sunshine forever reign. And wait, may we forever smile, Max sang, sprinkling pirate jewels on her tail. Mom wiggled in the ray, while the kids squirmed like fish. But then a mischievous shadow crept over her. Mom didn't budge. She frowned, the clouds admiring my glimmer. Dad reached for her hand. Maybe it's inspired to go for a swim. So Alma flailed her arms. Come swim, Cloud, flap, flap, flap. And then everyone flaps. And Max puckered his cheek and glub, glub, glub. And we all make fishy faces. And Mom marvels at the kids nudging the cloud along. Bon voyage. And then we all wave goodbye to the cloud. And slowly it shrank smaller and smaller and smaller. It's a part of me, not all of me, she reminded herself. Clouds don't last forever, Dad echoes. The day held space for everything. So on this page, we usually pause and I talk about how everyone's playing and they're having so much fun and all the things that they're doing. And Mom's sitting and reading a book and they're not pulling her. It's okay. They're still enjoying their day and Mom's enjoying hers. And the cloud is just really little up here. The day held space for everything. While they packed, the kids pleaded, one more splash, please. Their sun-kissed faces sparked strength within Mom. At last, Mom budged. Dad smiled. The smallest step still makes a difference. So Mom dashed to the shoreline, legs wobbling. Onward, fearless pirates. They shrieked with joy as she led the way. And Mom dove in, goosebumps prickling her skin. Brr, she shivered. Dad boomed, Hail the brave queen of the icy sea. Now the ocean is ours. Whoosh, whoosh, the sea stirred to life. Whoosh, whoosh, a giant wave crashed in. And now I make them all say whoosh really, really loudly. And when we whoosh, the clouds swam into the currents because it wanted to play with the little octopus. We can weather anything, Mom gleamed, scattering the last of her gray. That night, Mom snuggled everyone tight. Her heart felt light again. We always find the greatest treasure, Max mumbled. Alma yawned. I hope I dream about all of our adventures. Mom gazed at the stars twinkling in the clear sky. Thank you for today, she whispered, and Alma nestled close with Max. They whispered back, clouds don't last forever. And then we get to the back of the book. And in the back of the book, what little kids love is it's a picture of our real family. And they do enjoy seeing it. And I tell everyone it was actually really hard to get this picture. We went to the beach 4 times, and they were probably 4 of the most miserable trips and memories, but we had to get one. And luckily, I had like sent it to my illustrator too, because then I lost all the photos. So I was definitely over it. But I like sharing that with the adults too, because it is a grounder reminder that there is that like social media piece of like we're all happy smiling here, but the mental health truth behind that photo is I was miserable. And we also do a lot of art, and everyone thinks the art is super creative, and I tell them if you have an art piece by the kids where it is crooked, just know that we tried really hard for it to not be crooked, but it was a day that nobody listened. And so our home was really, really hard. And Alma signs all the books too. Not this one because this is my original. But if her signature is very strange looking, she gets paid in cookies. So that was like she ate the cookie and then thought she can do more, and we believed her, but we forgot she was still 4. And so a lot of it is about just showing behind it. Um, and then the resource questions focus on so the cloud is my symbol. Since reading, my daughter has identified that her cloud is a tornado. So she knows she can't hit, she can't throw stuff, she can't scream in the house. But if she does come to us and she tells us it's a tornado, and at this point, I usually get up in classrooms and I kind of show how she spins around. And my son, he is 2. So Max likes to be a rock, and he will get down and he'll kind of be grumpy and be this little rock. And so we talk about what everyone's weather or analogy is. And then we do also have, and I know you guys have shared them out if people want, but they are draw your own cloud art. And I have Alma and Max's, because I found out I have a laminator. So my house got out of control with me laminating everything. So we drew our clouds, and it's different colors because she told me she had a cloud for each feeling, which helps with the understanding what color cloud do you have today. And then Max, he's new to a lot of things. So his is just to him, he told me it's all apples. So his is a bunch of apples. And we do the drawing your cloud coloring sheet. And as I said, in the next session, we also do a care plan that we'll talk about. Um, but the main thing is, it also does say in the front of the book, as you're reading, and I know I'm kind of holding it up, so it's a little difficult to see, but a lot of the words throughout the book are bolded differently. And the intention behind that was to do, in essence, what I'm doing when reading. So putting emphasis on certain parts of the book to slow you down reading it and have that conversation, and also what to pick up on in the background. So when I read for littler kids, we talk a lot about what the kids are doing. And when we read for older kids, we talk a lot about what mom and dad are doing. And so it sort of shifts the perspective of the book. And then when you see it up close, mom is shaded and she's a lot darker than the kids in most, but like the page with the snowman's a good one because half of mom is coming into the sunlight, and we talk about how she's starting to feel a little better because she got to rest. And then she kind of goes back to needing to rest again. And then when we do rereading a lot, there are a lot of little hidden stuff that the kids have hid throughout the book. So when Alma goes in the water and she comes out, there is a little crab here in the trail. And once he's here, he is hidden on every page. So we tell kids to go back and with their parents kind of slow down and look for the hidden crab. And then it is also fun because Alma wrote some of the lines, and we have people try and guess which lines Alma wrote, that I had sort of stubbornly refused to change, and which is why I went self-published, because in traditional publishing, they do take a lot of what you wrote and change it. And it was just this powerful thing to do together as a family. So we really wanted to leave them in. And now that Max is coming into language, he told me we're working on book two that he wanted to write in. Alma's not allowed to help. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, Kendall, thank you. That was really wonderful. And, of course, I read through the book before we started, but I did not catch so many of these little things. And so I really appreciate you going through page by page and telling us how you share with children and with families. And I love the little hidden crabs and ways to communicate each feeling. And I'm really excited to for our next session too. So I don't know, Kim, do you have more things to share?
I agree with what you're saying around the idea of that there are obvious elements of the story that you could just read through and people would still pick up on the messages. But then some of the other hidden details, like Lisa said, but I even like the interactive. Like, when we read to kids, we try to make sure that they are engaged. And some of your ideas around making sure that they feel part of the story, and then they can kind of connect it to their own lives. And then I think that also may make more robust discussions and questions. I think we have one in the chat.
Yeah, I
Did you
was
see it,
just
Leah?
gonna,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so in the chat, we have a question from Joy. Does the discussion and learning translate to how kids engage with others?
Yes. I feel biased because I have read the book with my daughter and so many of her friends a lot. So I see it in our everyday language. But then again, that bias is what I hope for everyone out there. Um, Even yesterday, we had my daughter's best friend over. They were having a great time. We told them to stop using the golf clubs as swords, and one of them got hit. So he wanted to go by himself and go off and sit and talk to no one. And when he was over there enough, my daughter came over to me and she goes, "Does he have a cloud?" And I was like, "No, you hit him with a golf club. That's what he has." But it is her recognizing that she has learned, because kids pick up on it. She has learned that anytime someone seems outside of basically, say, their baseline, that shift is her pausing to go, "Do you have a cloud?" And she's been able to do that at home with me a lot, because there are mornings, even this morning, I woke up, I have autoimmune stuff. So I had a flare up, and at breakfast, my family knew that something was off. And I had said, "Mom's having a little flare up. So I have a little cloud." So they check on me. But my daughters learn. One day I came home from work and I just had a million things to do. And she said, "Will you play with me?" And I said, "I don't want to play." And she asked, she said, "Is it a cloud?" And I said, "No, I just have a lot to do." And she goes, "Well, I leave you alone when it's clouds, but if it's not a cloud, you should play with me." And I was like, she's got me there. Like, I've taught her this, like, when to go to dad. And she's right. In the other moment, if I don't have one, I should be present and pause, because we do know there are times when I can't. And so it's shifted in a big reason. And I kind of talk about this to spoil the second session, is we didn't expect to do this at my daughter being 2 years old. I don't know that proper age where you start talking about mental health with kids. But it was very much that I was one way in postpartum because my kids had a very difficult time feeding. And she always sensed when I had to feed that mom was different than dad. And so dad was the natural go to. And I felt such a sadness because he was bonding with them. And I was like, I can't. And they picked up on giving me space. And so I was like, if I can put words behind it, because they're already picking up on that, then they know how to react. And now she can do that with her friends. She can even say, "My teacher's having a bad day," or something. And it's the stuff that they're already going to recognize. You're just giving them language to ask about. So does that person have a cloud? And I'm like, they might. So let's give them space. And that is the easy fix of then instead of me having to explain, like, well, they're going through something heavier.
I love that. I love the idea of giving people language that they otherwise wouldn't know, but they intuitively know something shifted.
Hmm.
And I think that for children, because they are, moving about their world without knowing language, and then they're making their own kind of decisions around what that means. And at developmentally, they make it about them. Like I did something wrong, I'm bad. That's why she
Hmm.
doesn't want to play, or that's why, they don't want to play with me. So your story of giving them at least another, oh, maybe there's some other possibility that I can at least be curious about. I think it's going to be so useful if we could just spread this everywhere, because I think it's very important that we have languaging. And I think it can translate to like couples and adults and be like, do you have a cloud? And the person could say, yeah. And you can be like, okay, so we already decided when you have a cloud, even as adults, that I'll give you space and we'll figure out how we can reconnect when your cloud dissipates, and that it's not my responsibility to
Hmm.
change your cloud, right? I can be there, support you, but I don't have to do all these things to make your cloud go away because that's not how it works. So I'm loving the
Yeah.
languaging.
And it's, I'll say in mental health, because that's like my foundation, it is really hard for those things that sound easy in theory, like the idea like
Yeah.
no is a sentence. Do you want to go out? No. I'll never say that. I'll like I feel compelled to tell people like no, and here's why, because I feel so bad. I feel like I need the excuse. And it was learning to not teach that. So it was really easy to know that a lot of what I was going through was the heavy therapeutic and clinical words, and go like, am I gonna text my friend like, hey, I don't want to come to dinner because I'm having a flare up and like this is this and like all and like no, but I do feel that huge guilt on canceling. So I don't want to just cancel and say, hey, can't go and leave them unknown. So I've learned for me, if I now text them and say, hey, I have a cloud, I can't come out, that they know it's something bigger than me just bailing, but they also know to not ask. And I know to give myself permission to not have to disclose the whole
Mhm.
paragraph that's running in my head. And so it has been great for me too to like have to practice what I preach, even with family and friends, because now that they know, like this started for my kids, but I had to tell everyone I was doing it. And now I'm able to kind of go like, oh, great, I can actually just use the cloud language on everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, so shared language with the kids, but also with your partner and now with friends.
Mm.
So that's pretty great. I did like the role that your partner played in the book too, and the understanding and just taking on their responsibility with the kids. And I thought that was pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, it was when we were in the editing phase, I had kind of gone head to head with an editor because the question was mom's point of view. And one of the big things was they told me if it's going to be mom's point of view, like mom should always be the hero. And so mom should say all of those lines, like mom should say cloud. And I said like respectively, like no, I know I say them. I know I can tell you guys at the end of this if there's one takeaway, it's okay to not be okay. When I have a cloud, will I ever tell myself that? No. I will like be like, I live here. And so it was very important because those lines exist because my husband had been saying that. Like that's the only reason I'm a mom, because him telling me constantly it's a part of you, it's not all of you. You can be a mom and that can be like a very tiny identifier. And so I was like, he's been saying them my whole life with him. He's going to get to say them in the book. Now, he did have a little like, I would write, so for each Alma and Matt, who's dad, because they can speak, I wrote 2 to 3 lines for every line and they got to pick their line. Matt didn't love all of his puns, but in the end, Alma and I picked some of them. So I was like, well, you get the really deep, beautiful moments, so you can have the cheesy puns.
Fun. Oh
I
my
like it.
goodness.
I like it. I'm looking forward to the next part.
Yeah. Any more questions or comments for Kendall? No, well, I just want to say thank you again, Kendall. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And just for everybody, we're going to have a follow-up on Sunday, May 17th. And Kendall's going to take us through using one of her tools and activities so we can go a little deeper. And so we're super excited about that. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today.
Yes, yes. Look forward to seeing you again next 2 months.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody.